There we go.
Well, I think I messed up that intro a little bit, but we are live. My name is Joseph. Thank you so much for coming. I am proud to say that everything that you saw very briefly was designed in Alibre. Now, we're going to be doing a giveaway at the end of the stream, and if you need to be on, and you need to be on to claim your prize. So please watch this to the very end till we do the raffle. And someone is going to get a free upgrade to the next tier of Libre or free maintenance. Now, I have some amazing individuals with me. We have Adam from Weekday Weekend, Kostas from Ex Machina. We have Steve from IQ Workshop. And we have our eye in the sky, Alex, who's watching the chat, controlling our windows. We're grateful for all of the unseen contributions that Alex makes. And I want to point attention to him because he doesn't get to be famous like the rest of us. So, again, thank you for coming. Adam, you are our newest guest. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Well, my name is Adam. I run a YouTube channel called Weekday Weekend. I am a 28-year-old 3D printing hobbyist. I don't really have a job in the industry, though maybe one day. Wouldn't mind it. I run a variety YouTube channel, again, Weekday Weekend. I've self-taught myself CAD over the past 3 years or so. I taught myself, I started on another CAD package. I moved to Alibre because of price to performance and the perpetual license. I would say I'm probably best known for the yet another modular storage system on printables, as shouted out by Teaching Tech on YouTube. And I also have the Weekday Weekend Workshop, which is a free alternative to some other options out there.
Yes, I love that workshop. I think it solves a lot of problems out there, and I'm actually going to start using some of those in some upcoming videos on some of my personal channel, and maybe we can work them into Libre as well. We're grateful for everything you've done for the community, Adam, and we have Kostas. Tell us about yourself, Kostas, for if anyone missed you the first time.
So hello everybody. My name is Kostas. I'm a mechanical engineer. I've got a master's degree in robotics. Since 2016, I am the owner of an engineering consultancy, and we do mechanical design, electrical and electronic design. And since 2021, I am with Alibre. I'm blown away by the price to performance, mostly by the performance. The price is, I still don't know why, you guys are selling it for so cheap, but I shouldn't say that live, should I? Yep, I'm here to help people get the best out of their software. Hello.
Hey, thank you so much, Kostas. That again, we're grateful for all the content that you put out as well. And we have Steve from IQ Workshop. I think Steve is the most wide knowledge guy that I've ever met, and he knows everything about anything that I can mention. So we're grateful to have Steve. Tell us about yourself and your channel, Steve.
Oh my word, that's some billing to live up to, right? So
now we better not suck.
my name's Steve. I'm a UK-based maker. I've been creating content since about 2016. Like Alex, I'm self-taught, and I get myself in business that I have no business being in, ranging from 3D printing practical things for my projects, right the way through to building a pick and place machine from open source projects, the Lumen PnP. And yeah, I'm going to be hopefully demonstrating this year practical applications of various different disciplines through 3D printing, CNC, laser cutting, possibly some sand casting. We'll be see. I'm not gonna spill everything here, but yeah, there's some things coming this year. The gears are running in the background for sure.
Gotcha. Well, Steve always has exciting news every time that I talk to him, and I think this is the first I've heard of sand casting, and I can't wait because that is a awesome thing to be able to do. Before we get started, I want to correct one thing that I said in the last live stream, just to get the record straight. Switch to my screen here. We have an assembly, and someone was asking about duplicating files, and I said copy paste in Explorer. I don't know where my head was because I knew that was wrong to do. So don't copy paste in Explorer. If you want to duplicate files, if you have them all in assembly, one easy way to do that is to say File, Package, and then create a package somewhere, and all those files in that assembly are duplicated. You can even create an assembly and import the files that you want to duplicate to save some time, but that's a far better way, or just doing a save as rather than copying and pasting in Windows. Every file has a unique identifier, and you don't want to duplicate that by copying and pasting in Windows, and so doing a save as or creating a package is a way around that. Again, don't know where my head was at, and that was a great question to ask. So with that being said, let's jump into it. We have, can you explain project to sketch? Sorry, Alex, I might be taking your job there, but that might be a great one to start. I don't know. Does anyone want to take that one?
Sure, we'll get that one going. I'm already in a part here and everything.
This is Adam's
screen. Project to sketch is basically just a quick way to get things from another sketch or other geometry into your current sketch. So if I go into a sketch here and then I just select a plane, doesn't really matter. If I wanted to use this exact curve right here, I could use my shortcut for that, or it's up here in the top left. And you kind of can click your edges or even a face that you're going to use in your current sketch. And then you're going to tell Alibre how you actually intend to use it. You could use it as a sketch figure and have it all constrained for you with this maintain association. Or if you're just going to reference to it with maybe some dimensions or something like that. Use this exact curve right here. I could use my shortcut for that, or it's up here in the top left. There, you can just kind of use it as a dimension or whatever you need to do that you're going to use in your current sketch. And you're going to tell Alibre use it with how you actually intend and have it all straightforward. Sounds like we were echoing back a little bit.
We had a little echo from you, Kostas. I muted you. Sorry to do that, but
anyway, yeah. So if you wanted to say, I don't know, make a circle here and dimension it from, I don't know, the top here a little easier, or whatever you might be using, or maybe make it
echo
concentric
Kostas. I muted you. Sorry.
That makes it a little bit easier sometimes, a little quicker to do that. So actually, helps if I get rid of this dimension. That'll be what's causing my issue. But if you wanted to make it a little easier to dimension to existing parts of your geometry, that's what it does.
So just as a follow-up question on that, obviously, Alibre is parametric and you can go backwards and forwards in your timeline. Is there a way that you can ensure that your projected sketches follow any changes you do before that point in your timeline?
That is a good question. That one might be another one for... I haven't had a whole lot of trouble with that, but... that might be a better question for Joseph or Kostas there.
Yes,
I haven't had a whole lot of trouble with that.
Ask me one more time, Steve. Sorry, I was working on our sound here.
So when we project into sketch, you can choose whether it's going to create sketch geometry or reference geometry. Because Alibre is parametric and you have a timeline, is there a way that you can ensure that if you make a change before the projection, let's say, for example, you change some dimensions, you want to make sure that that projected sketch follows the changes that you make within your timeline? How can you make sure that it's all constrained and you don't lose the logic of what you're trying to do?
Great question. And that would come down to checking the box of maintain association. And then with association maintained, it follows the geometry.
So if you can see here, I'm changing this angle of this kind of drafted surface here, and it is following it because I did that maintain association. It is indeed keeping that concentric with this arc here.
Cool.
That is a great example to come up with on the fly, Adam. That's very impressive.
And a lot of that will automatically dimension. If I try to dimension that and I do a concentric with that arc, it'll usually automatically grab it. But there's certain things maybe you want to coincident with a point or a line that is already in your geometry. Maybe something that's on the other side that you can't necessarily see. Maybe it's not a symmetric part. Like this part's completely symmetric on one side to the other. Maybe it's not, and there's something on the other side you can't necessarily see. That's kind of where it shines a little better. Because if you can see it, usually you can just dimension to it without issue. But if it's kind of hidden, that might help you a little bit better. So.
Nice. Let us know if that answers your question. Alex, I'm going to stop doing your job. Sorry, I stepped on you. I see another one. Can you explain the motion hierarchy of motion in assemblies? I can take that one unless someone else has anything.
No, take the wheel.
All right. I'm going
Go
to
for it.
get my screen showing here, and I've actually got a model that I can pull up. I'm going to pull that up. There we go. Okay, sharing my screen. And loading my new assembly. So I have here this unassembled small engine, and this is great because, yeah, how do we prioritize motion in assemblies? And we do use a system of constraints to where we say, oh, I have the outer face of my piston. I want it to go into this round face of my cylinder head, and we have a concentric right there. And so once I apply this constraint, I can move the piston in every single way except breaking that concentric relationship between the piston and the cylinder block. And I can do the same thing, right? Make it concentric with this rod. And so again, we allow for all kinds of rotations, twisting, everything except what breaks what we already have applied. And so if we put it into a hierarchy system, I would say whatever you apply first is what gets enforced as its top priority, and then everything else is allowed to move until you constrain it. And that's where we get with, that's how we can get to something that moves just the way that we want. So hopefully that makes sense. What you apply first is what is completely enforced, and you keep on adding new relationships until you're only able to move in the way that you want to. Let me know in the comments if that answers your question, and hopefully it does. Can you provide some tips on using constraints and ways to stay away from the over-constrained error message? Great question. Is that probably for sketches, I'm thinking?
Yeah, usually that comes up during sketching.
Yeah.
I can take that, but I don't want to hog the spotlight. Anybody else have a preference?
All you, Joseph.
I'll go ahead and jump into a sketch here. And again, if you're asking about assemblies, let me know. But here in an active sketch, I can start laying down some sketch figures. Maybe with arcs, that would probably be the best example, because arcs can be pretty tricky to constrain. In fact, I'll make this arc. So let's say I have an arc and I want to start constraining this sketch. My number one tip when you're asking about what's constrained and avoiding over constraints is click and drag, right? When we click and drag, we can see how the sketch is allowed to move, and that gives us really strong hints on what we want to constrain. So I know that I can change the angle of this line, and I might say, I want it to be vertical. And if we constrain that just one step at a time, then we can see that now the line is going to stay vertical no matter how I manipulate it. I can move the end of this line. Maybe I want that horizontal with the origin, right? And we just add constraints one at a time, nothing to stop us from seeing again how the sketch is allowed to move. I can say, I want this arc to be tangent to this line, and then click and drag. So that's what I might say, because if we start constraining something in a way that we can see it moving in, we know that we're not adding any redundant constraints. I might give this an angle of 25. And I can see that my arc can change radius. And so, adding these kind of constraints to a sketch really is an art form. And with some practice, you can look at a sketch and have a really good instinct about it. And if you're just starting out, there is nothing wrong with saying, oh, let me just click and drag. And now I can see I have only 1 degree of freedom left, and it's the length of this line. And maybe I want it to be horizontal with the origin, right? So we know what the kind of sketch that we want to have. and we can just take small steps to achieve that. Hopefully, that's an adequate explanation. I don't know if anybody here has anything to add.
He looks like he is saying that he is having it shown in assemblies as well.
Ah, okay, perfect. Yeah, and
and right quick, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt there, Bruce. There is a lock that you can do. You can lock sketch figures and things without necessarily dimensioning. Of course, you would usually want to dimension everything as much as you can to get it fully. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Thanks, Kostas.
Perfect.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Awesome. No, I'm so glad. Please interrupt me all the time because you guys always have great things to say. The nice thing is what I just explained about sketches really applies to assemblies as well, right? If you think about sketches as we're taking all these degrees of freedom of how the sketch can move and we're constraining them. Same thing with assemblies, right? We're just dealing with moving parts, and often feel free to utilize this click and drag technique. So once I add a few, I can see, I can twist here, and I don't want to twist here. Right. One great way to prevent twisting is I can select a flat face, or I could even say show reference geometry. And then these orange planes are the planes that I use to model the part with from the part environment. And I can say, I'll select a plane, we'll make a constraint. And if I don't want that piston to twist, well, I can apply that, certainly, but that makes it so the rod can't swing. And so if we end up in a situation like that, then we can look at our part in the Explorer. We can go to our constraints, and I can edit that coincident, and maybe I want to make it an angle. And actually 90 degrees is what I wanted. And now, because we did an angle, our rod should be able to swing, and I'm not seeing it swing. So, of course that happens. Let's suppress that. Yep.
Sometimes you need to uncheck minimum motion for things to work when you have multiple. Yeah, but again, constraints are a highly mathematical thing, guys. Right, and there's a lot of work on the background from Alibre to try and understand what you're after. Right. For example, we're used to putting something in place using 3 coincident plane constraints, right? But in Alibre, things have 6 degrees of freedom, so X, Y, Z, and 3 rotations. Using 3 planes to constrain stuff gives you 9 degrees of freedom locked down. So Alibre needs to figure out which are the 3 redundant, right? And give you what you want. And that doesn't always work. It is an issue in other CAD software as well. It is an issue in Alibre as well. What I can say about it is, what I try and do is break things down in sub-assemblies, right? If you break things down in sub-assemblies, you can still get the motion by making that sub-assembly flexible. Break things down in sub-assemblies, so you give the engine a clear indication of what you want, and it usually works better. But it is an art, as Joseph said. It is something that you need to get used to.
It is. A few other tips and tricks, like what you said.
For example, if I may interrupt you there again. That very problem that you had there, Joseph, in a similar video I did, I constrained the plane on the piston, not that odd, and that might make it work. But it's such minute changes, right?
Yep. And Joseph on the official Alibre channel has a very good video on creating assemblies with such constraints. So,
thank you. If you do come across errors, everything that Kosa said is, of course, fantastically on. Also, when we look at what could be causing the error, right, this is not an Alibre issue. Every modeler has really intense algorithms that figure out these mates. And one big issue is if I put a constraint, and this applies to all modelers, and I make that, concentric, we've eliminated the ability of the crankshaft to rotate around the top axis, and we've eliminated, a few degrees of freedom. Now, if I apply another mate, like I put this right up against that face, this mate also eliminates that same piston's ability to rotate around the top axis. And using mates that eliminate redundant degrees of freedom, that can be the cause of most of any errors that you see in an assembly.
Yep.
So focus on, instead of making all these big faces, you can maybe put a point on there and make that one point level up with the plane. And any modeler using Alibre or any other modeler, that helps to fix those issues. It's kind of a universal algorithmic problem. There's probably not a perfect constraint solving engine out there. So hopefully all that helps. Again, it really starts with, you can click and drag and see what your degrees of freedom are, and then eliminate those one by one. Let me know if that helps in the chat. Yes, a frozen subassembly. I can take that one since I have some things up already. Let me save this. Why not? Oh, I better not. I'll do a save as, because I have this is a webinar part, so I don't want to. We're going to make a little temporary assembly here, and let's start a new. Oh, I just opened a part. Okay, so we're going to say new assembly, and let's import the assembly that we've been working on. It will come in frozen. Okay, perfect. Again, can't move anything. And we might ask yourself what's going on. So we're going to right click right here, and we're going to say make flexible. So by default, all your subassemblies are going to come in frozen. That's so that things don't come in, you move something and 1,000 parts fly everywhere and it's unpredictable. So we manually make that flexible. And then I'm going to, looks like that's still anchored. So now I can move all the parts in my subassembly. So hopefully that's a pretty simple fix for you that you are able to see in real time. Anyone else have anything to add?
Nope, not at the moment.
All right. I have an error that says entity is deleted when I try to extrude, but the sketch looks complete. I can modify it, but it won't extrude without the error.
Yeah, well, sometimes I've come across, and Dave, I don't know if that's exactly what you're trying to do. If you're coming from a different CAD software like SolidWorks and Fusion, you might be used to making sketches that have more than one closed area or section, and Alibre cannot extrude when you have more than one closed sections, right? So that's one way to fix that. The other potential problem that you might have is something that we discussed in the previous live chat, which is especially when you're importing sketches that are copied from something else, or you're importing a DWG or an SVG. Sometimes you get duplicate lines, right? And in these cases, what you want to do is you want to use the Analyze Sketch tool, right? Which is a massive help. And if you want, guys, I can do a quick. So this is pretty much the example we did last time, right? So this is just a simple slot. If I try and extrude this, it's going to let me extrude, right? and it's letting me drag and do all that. However, if I have an overlapping line here, right, it is the exact same thing visually. But if I go and extrude it, right, it's not going to let me extrude. As you can see, I've got a red button there, and if I click OK, the extrusion comes in with an error. Now, sometimes the errors are very helpful, and it says here that the sketch cannot be used because an endpoint is wrongly shared by multiple primitives. Endpoint wrongly shared by multiple primitives, you should look for overlapping lines. And sure enough, if we go back in and use the Analyze tool over here, right, let me bring it over and click OK, you get open loop. It shows you where the open loop is. Intersection, right? That's all these and an overlap. And all of these errors are caused by the same one, thing there, which if I go in and delete, yeah, we should be fine. Right, and now I can extrude again, right? There you go. So yeah, and just to show you what I mean by multiple sections, I don't mean this. Alibre is going to know to make a hole there. What we mean by multiple sections is something like this, right? These are multiple sections. So yeah, Alibre is not going to know what to do with that.
If you're a SolidWorks user, you might call it multiple contours. It's different
multiple contours, sections are, I think, Fusion calls them that. But still, I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, let us know again, and we'll discuss it further. Because this is a great issue, right? This is something that comes up very often, and it's definitely worth discussing.
Another quick addition to that. This is Max. If you're seeing an error that says something like attempting to access record marked as deleted, it's just a general error. Oftentimes you're in a weird state. You're and by that explicitly I mean that some chain of events has occurred where your part may be in a state such that you might want to back up to your previous save. Depending on the nature of what that error message sounds like. Sometimes it'll keep going and you'll be fine. Sometimes the weird state can compound on itself. So especially if you can find ways to reproduce that consistently, that would be an example of something that you should send to us so that we can look at further. So it really just depends on the wording of that error. Sometimes it's something you can fix, sometimes it's not. And maybe you should just delete the sketch and start over.
Thank you so much, Max. That's really helpful. Yep. We have a help desk that's really helpful, and they're good at tracking that kind of issue. So hopefully that answers your question. I have a question about the offset command. When I am editing a sketch, how do I get back to the offset dialog again if I want to go back and change the offset dimension value?
That's a good one.
That's a really good one. This would be in a sketch, and right now, we don't have fully parametric offsets for our sketches. If I jump in here and, I'm already sharing my screen. So let me open up a new part and create a sketch. Let's say that I have this sketch that I want to offset. I'll make it a little bit more interesting. There you go. And so I can chain select and offset right there. And I give it a value. And I want to offset that later. As of right now, of course, it's not parametrically connected. We do get a lot of requests to get that, and we are wanting to work on that. But as of right now, perhaps the easiest thing to do is just chain select, delete, and then we can re-chain select and offset again to our new value. And if you leave things unconstrained, then you just delete the red stuff and start again. It's kind of an indicator that, yeah, that's their offset value. If you do fully constrain it, then you should be able to just adjust this dimension and have it update automatically. So I think that's the best answer I can give. Let me know if anybody else has anything to add. I saw a very interesting question. Oh, here's another one. Well, one did come up, but I saw a very interesting question about Costas being gracious in helping someone. If I can find that one. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Our producer is on point. That was amazing.
Yeah, Rufus. Yeah. Look, guys, I just want to say, first of all, Rufus is too kind, right? That's one. And another thing I want to say is people come talk to us in the forums, right? One of the best forums ever. You will definitely find somebody to help you. There are a lot of people that are active, right? And
crap.
And share answers and
we
show
might have
their
lost sound
experience.
here.
Yep. Can you still hear
have
me?
you, Joseph? I can still hear Costas as well.
Yeah.
Thanks. I can.
Yeah. So I'm saying, people, first of all, thank you so much to Rufus for being so kind, and people join the forums. Join the forums. First of all, your question might be the question of somebody else, and by asking the question, you might help somebody, which is true for this stream as well. And secondly, you will see that there are many people active in the forums and eager to help. Right? It's one of the, it's part of the value of Alibre, if I may say so. Right? It's the forums are so good. So yeah, come chat with us.
I'm a bit of a beginner on Alibre. This guy says.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm too much of a beginner on Alibre, and there's nothing much I know about the system program for me to even do anything you all are talking about. All right. We do have some great resources for newcomers. I'll switch to my screen here.
One of them being the forum.
I think everybody has some great
One of them being the forum.
Content. Yeah. The forum is great too.
Yeah. Everybody here has YouTube channels here. Everyone's got really good stuff.
Absolute beginner course.
Does really good stuff. Joseph has really good stuff on the official
channel. It is a playlist on YouTube. It has about 80 videos.
Yep. Here's
the first one, me with my messy hair there. And we have all of these videos are about 4 minutes long, and they're about how to navigate the home screen, what the part environment looks like, all the way down to sheet metal modeling, making 2D drawings, and just about everything else. So this is a great zero to hero. If you have trouble navigating, if you don't know where to start, the first videos here are a very comprehensive guide as to how to understand everything that you're looking at. And then I think everybody on here has their own different contributions to the CAD community. I don't know if the rest of you want to cover it as well.
Yeah, so for me, it's about making sure you're not trying to use the tools in a way that doesn't work with the way you think, right? That's the first thing. So for example, let me clarify that. Alibre is a solution, right? It's how you apply that to a problem. Right, Alibre doesn't go. I'm not articulating this very well. You don't buy a tool and then go find a problem to fix with it. Yes. So I would say you need to have a very specific project that you want to achieve, and start with that. Try and make it as simple as possible, even if it's to you very primitive, like creating a cube. Right, just creating a sketch, extruding it, and understanding how the inputs you're making to the application actually turn out into the model that you're trying to make. And an example of this for me was when I first started 3D printing, I printed a prop from a movie, Blade Runner. It's the PKD blaster that Deckard uses in the movie. And I went to my mini factory, I found a model, I started printing it, and there were issues with it. And at that moment, I decided from that moment on I was going to model everything myself. I would teach myself how the applications work and how I can achieve the goals. And I started small and just layer those skills one on top of the other until such time as you build complex assemblies and so on. And as the guys have said, there are tons of resources out there, from the official Alibre channel, the forums. There are other people in the community that will offer help and suggestions. So don't feel afraid to put your hand up and ask for help. The only stupid question is the one you didn't ask.
Well said.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And while Steve is talking, remember, you can ask any question about any project. And I believe me, I've tried Steve. He's got a good answer for just about everything. So if you're working on any project that's not CAD related, Steve is your man. And that's a great reason to have him on here. So feel free to ask non-CAD questions as well.
Real quick, we are trying to get to everybody's questions. Some of these questions take a little bit longer.
I don't know, Kostas, you have some material, and also Adam?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you mean.
On your YouTube channels.
Yep. Kostas
on my YouTube channel.
Stuff.
Yeah, I've got some material. It's roughly 101 videos, so so,
yeah.
But yeah, so what I try to do on my YouTube channel is I show solutions to problems that I've had working with clients. Right, I work on the design for a client, and I run into an issue, right? That perhaps Alibre doesn't have a straight tool on how to do, and maybe another CAD does, or it's a really clever way to design something, right? Like the fill pattern equation that I did an entire video on, right? Or using sheet metal and Boolean to make a texture that drapes over a part. But stuff like problems that I've had to solve, and I solved them with Alibre, and then I share the YouTube video for it. So that's my approach: show people A, that it's possible, and B, how to do it.
Thank you so much. There is a question that I really like here. Let's do this one. Quick question: cam and follower mate or constraints? Is there such a thing in any version of Alibre? Designing running internal combustion model engines and cams are a necessity. Currently, Fusion does tangent mates. That is an excellent question. Currently, there is not a built-in feature in Alibre to do cam and follower mates, but I actually have a teaser queued up on my current channel here.
I saw that, actually.
Yeah, Kostas left a comment on my video, and I was very happy to see it, that someone caught the little teaser that I put in.
Oh, yes.
Let's see if I can pull it up on YouTube. There it is. So this is this channel called Joko Engineering. Don't know, the creator just seems to be very good looking. I don't know.
Yes.
Such a dreamy voice.
Very good looking, very articulate, very knowledgeable. It's and an all-round, great guy, I have to say. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. So here's a little teaser for cam and follower mate that is working in the Alibre. I since we got the question, I will have to spill the beans and reveal some of my secret sauce. What I did to make this cam and follower mate that is very faint is, as the cam spins, I have the follower designed in the context of the assembly. And so the sketch that defines the bottom part is going to be tangent on the sketch level to the cam. And that way, as it spins, the sketch itself updates and puts it in the right position. So
that's a cool trick, actually.
Thanks.
Yeah. So okay, I get it. So you designed it to be tangent to that. Okay, cool.
It's a subtle secret. I actually haven't visited this model in a while, so some of the details escape me right now. But what I did, if I remember correctly, is I imported everything with association, as reference figures, of course, to the outer part of this cam, as we talked about earlier. And then I put a spline all the way around, so you're just staying tangent to a single spline. I think that's how I did it, but I don't quite remember. So I'm going to be putting this video out of the full process pretty soon. Like and subscribe to Joco Engineering, I guess. But I am working on that one on another channel. So hopefully that answers that question as best as we can here. And I think someone might be chiming in here, so let's make sure that Max has director's voice if you want to come on here. Okay, we should be able to hear you, Max.
Oh, no, I had to refresh
but
the page. I
maybe
was
he
trying to
doesn't
say
have
anything.
anything to say. So moving right along, when does it make sense to use surfaces over regular modeling? Oh, this is awesome. Yes. Is there an ideal for one
this is
or the
made
other?
for Joseph, this question.
I can certainly pull up a good example. Does anybody have any comments as I pull up a new model here?
Oh, please go ahead. I think. Well, actually, can I just say we had a great example in the first live stream where
Yes.
we turned the model into a surface, did a thin extrude, projected that thin extrude to get parametric sketch offsets. So that's a good use of it. But I'm sure Joseph has like 1,000 different uses for it. I'm just sure he does.
Yeah, Costas knows exactly what a fan of surfacing I am. So I would say if you can model and get the job done using solid geometry, do that. It is going to be a lot more simple, a lot more straightforward. And if someone else wants to go through the model, it'll be simpler for them. And it's probably less computation depending on what you're doing. So prioritize solid geometry. But if you have something where solid modeling is not getting it done, surfacing is a great solution. And here's an example of that. I have a feature and I want to say project downward, and let's say that I want to CNC this part, right? So I select this sketch and I project to take some material away. Let's say that I want to go 1/2 inch down. Well, if we're going to CNC that, those walls have a lot of overhangs, and that's just not going to work well. And I went too far down and broke through the bottom there, but that's not good intent. We want our walls to be vertical, right? And what's the solid modeling solution? Well, it would be an extrude cut, but if we need this face to follow the same curvature as this face, it gets hairy with extruding, right? There's not really a straightforward solid modeling way to do that. So there's I think a few ways that we could approach this with surfacing, and surfacing just augments our ability to do things like that. So maybe if I were to go with the surfacing solution, I'll extrude this to 1 inch, and then maybe we want to make this floating body a surface. So I'll grab a surface here and delete this top face. So for my surface workbench, I delete the top face, and now I have these infinitely thin references of the outside of this thing. And but before I do that, let me say select these faces here and then create a surface from a face. There we go. And I can move my surfaces upward. You can see that surfacing does break down into a lot of steps. And this is one reason why we may want to default towards solid modeling whenever possible. Let's move that in maybe less than 1 inch, maybe 0.5 upwards. No, 0.75. So we get what we want. There we go. And then I'm going to modify my sketch. As you can tell, I maybe didn't have this set up for demoing yet. So make that, not that. No. Okay, that should do it. So we've got the surface, right? And then we can cut out the bottom of this so that the curvature of this face matches. So we're going to say surface, trim model. We select our surface, and then we just trim out the bottom of that, right? Now you can either hide or delete face. There's schools of thought that are great for both. I tend to delete face to get rid of my surfaces when I'm done with using them, but now we can take that back to a surface, move that downward. We can tell this is just a lot of workflow for surfacing that might be able to be done in one operation with solid modeling. So we'll move that down 1 inch. Once again, trim model. I promise I'm almost done. And then if I go to hide my surface down here, what do you know? We have those vertical walls that are a lot more manufacturing friendly, right? So surfacing, we can overcome those difficult specific problems by generating surfaces that do what we need. So that's probably the case to use surfaces over regular modeling, but default to regular modeling whenever possible. Let me know if that answers your question, and thank you for asking. Greetings from the Space Coast. As 3D scanning becomes more and more widespread and affordable, it's helpful to do a webinar or videos that show how to use surfacing. That might be an interesting one, a surfacing webinar. I have brought that up, and maybe that's the push over the edge that I need to start pursuing it. So let's talk about that internally and see what we can do. I think there's a lot of great value in webinars that cover lesser used features.
Yep. I can I just second that, a webinar on surfacing, because every time Joseph puts up something about surfacing, I learn something, and not just surfacing, direct modeling as well, right? Alibre has some really clever direct modeling features like delete face, like offset face, and stuff like that. And when we're talking about importing faces and models, surfacing and these direct modeling commands are a game changer, and they can get you some amazing results. So yeah, definitely worth pursuing, I think.
Thank you very much. Which setting in the whole tool would you use for the minimum size 3D printed thread? I'm guessing a minimum size is an 8mm diameter bolt. I don't want to hog the limelight. I do have a answer for that because I was kind of involved with the threading, the thread and hole tool when it updated in V28. So I'll take this one. Let me know if anyone has anything to add.
I'm not quite sure how
on the hole tool.
Which setting in the whole tool would you use? Is you just talking about the?
I think I'm running a lot of RAM right now, so I might be running a bit slower. But I'll choose
I think the question is talking about modeled threads, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which Joseph indeed actually worked on most of them. So yeah, Joseph, if you want to take that one, and then there's another very interesting question by David on how to use a reference line in a sketch as the axis of revolution. And as soon as you're done, I might take that on.
Oh, awesome. I'd love that. I'm just going to open up a new part here, make sure that things are behaving for me.
Don't forget to close.
Yes, I probably that's the biggest
if you're eating RAM.
Yeah.
Steve always gives excellent advice. We're going to go to extrude that. And now let's jump into the hole tool here. Make sure things are working good. Okay, so we're going to say unified course, how about? And then we'll up the size of that 0.5. And then we want that to be modeled. And so when we go to the modeled, there are several options. And I think this is what the question is around. This is the nominal thread, right? And when we talk about screw threads, the nominal thread is when the male thread and the female thread have the exact same profile, no gap between them. And so it's not a realistic thread. If you want a production quality thread, and not all platforms do this, so I'm going to pop my collar as Alibre and say that we've got the cool features. We can change this to a production thread by going to, say, average. And this is the center of the line tolerance for regular threads. Now, when we go to minimum material, this is going to be for the loosest fit, right? Because the smallest amount of allowable material for the 1/2 by 13 coarse thread loosest possible fit. Now, if you want to have a really tight fit, this would be the maximum material for the production thread. So if you're not on nominal, then there's going to be a gap between your internal and external threads. And this is for the smallest gap, tightest fit, and this is for the loosest fit. Now, if you're 3D printing, 3D printers tend to overbuild a little bit, and so you always end up with a little bit of extra material. I'd recommend always 3D printing on the loosest. But if you want to have a tap or a die and you want to fine tune it yourself, maybe you want to go the max material so you have the most material to be able to remove in a very fine fashion. Those are my thoughts on it. Anybody else on here have any
It's
thoughts
worth
on it?
noting that you might want to also just double check that your 3D printer is well
I think we
calibrated
might
and all
be
that kind of
good
thing.
there.
Is my microphone not coming through?
No, I can hear
Okay,
you.
making sure. No, making sure. You got to make sure your
Oh, interesting.
3D
I'm not
printer is
hearing you,
pretty
Adam.
well pretty calibrated and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There we go. Cool.
Yeah, we might have a sound issue here.
Okay. We working?
I
now?
can hear everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear everybody too.
It's
Okay.
probably just me. You know what? I think I'm just going to refresh my studio and go ahead, Adam. I think everybody can hear you. Leave us in the
Okay.
comments if you can't hear Adam.
Basically, just double check your 3D printer is well calibrated and all that kind of stuff. Threads are quite difficult sometimes. Now, using the minimum material, I was able to get threads my first try, but I've spent a lot of time calibrating my printers. I don't know that my Ender 3 V2 Neo could do it. My P1P certainly can, but my other one might be a little iffy despite all its calibration. So definitely test out your own printer and learn what your own printer can do, because every printer is going to be different. For me personally, using minimum material worked first try, but if it doesn't, then you might want to do some flow rate calibration and that kind of thing, which is usually built into things like Orca Slicer. So,
yeah. In addition to that, you can look at tolerance tests to print on printables. There's bound to be some on there that you can figure out what your 3D printer is capable of producing. And you can make adjustments in your CAD for that, for when you 3D print either the bolt or the hole.
There's some built into Orca Slicer as well.
Yeah, I mean, unless you are doing something custom, my recommendation would always be to have a tap and die set and run your threads through a tap and die. If you're printing something which is bespoke to your project that isn't a standard thread, then yes, you do need to have your hole and bolt sort of calibrated so that they interface properly. But beyond that, just to save the headaches, just make sure just use a tap and die. If you're concerned about a 3D print, taking a bolt or a tap and die, just increase the number of perimeters on your 3D print. The vast majority of the strength of a 3D print is in the walls of the print itself, not the infill. So yeah, just jump, maybe go from 2 to 3 perimeters, and you should be good to go.
Yeah. So if you're in Orca Slicer, for example, there we go. If you just right click on your build plate, you can do add handy models, and then the Orca tolerance test is a pretty good one that'll tell you how your holes are looking. And then there's really cool. Also let's see, the Voron cube is also pretty useful. There's a whole bunch of these handy models that you can kind of use to the Orca cube has threads in it, so there's a bunch of these. If you're not using Orca Slicer for 3D printing, you really should be. Free and open source.
Adam, I switched to Orca from using
personal opinion.
Prusa Slicer, and to be fair, it keeps surprising me with the feature sets that it's got. I got to be fair, so I second that recommendation for Orca.
This might be a good one here for you, Joseph.
Actually, before we go there, can I just take over the screen, and because David had a great question, which is how you can use a line in aligning a sketch as an axis of revolution, right? So let's just say that I do something like this. Okay, this is a bit rubbish as modeling, but still. So let's say that I want to revolve this. First of all, let me just also show you something. If you click in a blank space, you can get this very, very handy toolbar, or you can just hit the space bar and it comes up as well. So you hover over part features and you go into the revolve boss, and you get your sketch pre-selected here. So that fly off toolbar is really, really useful. Now, how to use a line of your sketches as an axis? Well, first of all, you need to go, let me close this down. You need to go into your view menu and make sure that you have toggled your sketches on, right? So your sketches should be toggled on. And the hotkey for that is Control-Shift-K. So you see I'm just toggling it on and off. But when you have it on, you can use your sketch, the lines as an axis. So for example, as soon as I hover over this line, you saw that it got a different, let me show that again, right? As soon as I hover over it, it gets a different color, right? So I click on it, and now that line is used as the revolve, or I could even use this one, right? So yeah, first of all, you need to make sure that you have toggled your sketches on, right? And I want to show you yet another way to do it. Whilst you're in Sketch, right, there is a button here in the references area of the toolbar. There's a button here. It says Insert Axes from Sketch. Now, you could, sometimes, let's say that, well, let's do something simple, right? Let's say that the axis, let's do this even. Let's say that the axis I want to revolve around is a reference line, right? Now you see that when I close the sketch, that the reference line is no longer visible, but I want to revolve around that reference line. So I hit here where it says Insert Axis from Sketch. This is the window that comes up. I select this line, I hit Apply, close, and now as soon as I come out of my sketch, I have an axis here, which I can use to revolve around. So I select my sketch, I select my axis, and now this is another way to revolve around basically a line from inside your sketch. And if I can hog a bit more time, Mecan 8, I think, had a very interesting question. He said, I have, yeah, that one. So let's say you have a rectangle and you want a hole in each of the corners, right? So one way to do it is you can look through my channel and find the pattern fill equation, right? And use that, and then you can get one in each corner, or you can fill the entire thing with holes. But here's another way to do it. Let's say this is 50 by 50, right? And I'll extrude this for 5 mil. This should be fine. And I'll put a hole here, right? And let me get it slightly centered. And then this hole is also 5. And I'll cut through all. So yeah, so this is a speed modeling quick tip. Just use mirror, right? So if you use this as the mirror plane and you mirror the entire part, now you've got 2 holes. And then if you do that again and mirror the entire part, now you've got 4 holes, 1 on each corner. So, that's a quick way to do it. If your part's conducive to using this, just model 1/4 of it and mirror it around. So yeah, those are two questions that I saw that I wanted answered. And yeah, if you have anything else, guys, go ahead.
Hey, thanks, Costas.
Very good stuff.
Do you have anything else? Oh, Alex is already on the move here. I've had instances where, as I add other motions after the initial constraint, and the first motion is frozen. Yes, I think I've seen what you're talking about. It's really hard to replicate. I'm guessing it goes back to the assembly constraints that we talked about earlier, where multiple redundant constraints may be being taken up. So focus on having every constraint eliminate 1 or 2 degrees of freedom at a time, and don't apply constraints that would take multiple redundant degrees of freedom. Universal thing. I think all CAD modelers have this problem. It's just algorithms and math. So.
And can I also just add that if a constraint throws an error, Alibre stops giving you, showing you and simulating the motion of the assembly. So if for some reason you added a constraint and now the thing doesn't move, go through your constraint list. It's more likely than not that one of the constraints has an X on it and it's thrown an error, right? So check that error message, right click, select status, read that error message, see what's going on, and try to fix it. But yeah, just a heads up. If another constraint throws an error, but when you add a new one, Alibre will stop showing you the motion of the assembly.
Here's just a quick one that I'll highlight. It says, "Thank you, Costas." Sorry about that, Alex. I think I jumped on you. Thank you, Costas. So just want to show that.
Come on, man. No, people are just too kind here.
Yes, we're grateful for every question here. What
Just
else have
too
we
kind,
got?
guys.
I have a sketch with multiple nodes and what to lock it down. Is there a way to do that without dimensioning it? That's an interesting one.
I believe we're looking for the locks.
Yeah, that's just a lock constraint, as Adam said. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not too hard. Just remember that it's not as, I wouldn't say it's quite as nice as dimension. If you can, I would always dimension. But there's some places like using like section view and stuff like that, where locking your sketch is going to be the best way to do it. It just looks like a little padlock. If I can find it, I don't have a.
Yeah.
Here, we'll switch to you, Adam.
Okay. So I don't even.
I love your
hardly
custom
ever
color
use it.
scheme, by the way.
Thank you. It's this very top right here. It's kind of small to see, but this little padlock looking constraint, that right there, the fixed constraint, that's what you'll want to use. And you could literally, you could have a bunch of stuff, and if you can just Control A and you should be able to just. Oh, my fault. But you can just fix your stuff with the fixed constraint like that. There we go. Yeah, if I do it all, it tries to fix them all at one time. But just use your fixed constraint, and then it just tells Alibre, hey, what you see is what you get. Just put it right there, and don't worry about it. If you can't always dimension it, though.
I'm glad you guys are here because I think I was reading that question wrong. So I think that's exactly right.
And let us know if that's not what you wanted.
Yep.
Yeah.
In sketches, I sometimes try to add a dimension and get a message that there's too many constraints, but picking up slightly different points or different order, it will work.
Yeah.
Sketch solvers. Yep. It happens in every platform I've ever used, but I think they're quite rare. But it again, I think comes down to the same principle of, can we establish the sketch with fewer constraints, or constraints that make it so that we're eliminating 1 degree of freedom instead of 5, so that the next thing that we add limits the amount of redundant constraints that you have when you lock up different degrees of freedom. Again, this is kind of a theme for this stream. I'm really liking it. We'll call this the redundant constraint stream or something like that.
So the more complicated your sketch gets, the more likely you're going to run into something like that. And it's not necessarily the fault of Alibre or any modeler, just the more stuff the algorithm has to work through and try to calculate the math, the more likely you are that something's gonna catch on something else and you're gonna run into an issue. So
And
you're
can I
getting that
just
problem
add?
slow and steady.
Can I just add another thing? When working with a parametric design software like Alibre, right, or SolidWorks or Fusion, every time you're working with a parametric CAD, not AutoCAD or SketchUp or whatever, it pays to have simple sketches. So every little feature of your model should be a different sketch, right, and a different feature at that. Sometimes some people will tell you that, well, layout sketches, now that's the best way to work or the fastest way to work. In my experience, it's not, because then it becomes very, very difficult to troubleshoot your model or to actually control it parametrically through global parameters or through Excel, which Alibre can do both, right? So everything that the guys just said is valid, right? And it's something that complex sketches suffer from, sketch solvers in every software. But on the other hand, you should put some effort in keeping your sketches simple and context based, right? So, for example, a plate and a hole. The plate is one sketch, the hole is a second one. It's easier to set up parametric down the line. That's my experience, at least.
That's great advice. I've been guilty of making too complex of sketches in my early work, and I've
Yeah,
been
we
trying
all
to be
we all
more
have.
simple.
So I'm gonna eat my own dog food here, right? I said earlier that the only stupid question is the one you didn't ask. So you mentioning the sketch analyzer, right, to try and find faults. Is that available in Atom 3D?
Yes.
Or is it where is it? Because I can't see it.
Great question. So when in expert and professional level, in a sketch, we have this nice little analyze feature. I have to lay some sketch down here, but analyze is right there in expert and professional. In Atom 3D, you don't have a button that invokes this, but if your sketch has an error, if I maybe make a line on top of a line and we deactivate the sketch, I have my warnings turned off, actually, but a little warning will come up normally if you don't turn it off. And then it gives you the option to analyze the sketch. So it's a little bit more baked into the system than being forward facing. But
there you go.
Perfect. Ted Nickel on Facebook, I think he just answered your question as well. Overconstrained, that analyze sketch is going to help you out right there. Or you can look at the error that comes up with the sketch. That's going to tell you what fixed it, what caused the error.
Nice. Let's see. Often doing a sketch, I use the dimension tool, and the last node or line is automatically selected. Is there an option to change that behavior? That's a good question.
Can I just say, I'm not sure there is, but I just love that feature. I absolutely love it. It's helped me in so many speed modeling qualifiers, right? Where you just add a constraint to a line, like an equal constraint or a vertical or whatever, and then you just hit the D and you're dimensioning that line. So I don't know. I actually love that feature. So yeah, for example, if you make two lines equal, the last line you selected is kind of left in memory. And if you hit D, you're actually straight jumping into dimensioning it.
There it is.
Yeah, so I just love that behavior. I don't know if there's an option to disable that.
Okay, I've got one that's simple. If I make these equal, and then if I just click in the white space and hit the D, then
yeah, you just click. Yeah, exactly. If you click in white space, it's deselected.
Interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
That could be a good suggestive feature. Maybe it's easy to do. So go ahead and go to your home screen, question asker and click suggest a feature, and I'd love to have that documented.
Yeah, that's a good one to ask as well. Customization is king, right? So that's
Absolutely.
a good one.
Oh, my pretty face is being blocked. I'm just going to move myself there. What else
There
have
you
we
go.
got, Alex? Is there a better help instruction document we can access for assembly work? The present help doc does not explain tool use very well. I use Design Professional V28. Interesting. Well, I mean, we have the official documentation at help.alibre.com. If that's what you're referring to, I mean, there's a lot of material on YouTube. We have a long playlist that covers all of the workflows of assemblies as well. And then, I don't know, there's some YouTube channels out there, Weekday Weekend, Ex Machina.
Ex Machina.
I don't have a whole lot on assemblies, but Ex Machina and the official Alibre one definitely will have you covered there.
Yeah. Why can't I use a disconnected line that in a sketch is an axis of revolution for the intended feature? Yeah, it comes down to how we need closed contours to define how we want to revolve. I don't know. This could be a good one for you, Kostas, because you're pretty
Yeah,
sharp on those revolves.
yeah, I just did an example of that, but it doesn't hurt to do it again. So if you guys just show my screen, because this
Oh,
Oh, we're back
Yeah,
live.
screen recovered.
We're back, guys. We're back in business.
Right.
Okay, so leave us a comment if you can see us. I think we are back
looks
online.
like we have a session expired. Oh, maybe.
I can see us on the live stream. Oh, that's my screen, is it? Yeah, that was my screen. Sorry. Okay.
Hey, there we go.
Okay. So yeah. So we're
Sorry
back.
about that, guys.
Just to answer the question that was on screen when we crashed, which was about well, I can't find it now.
It was accessed from Sketch, I believe.
Yeah. But James something, I don't remember the name exactly. So we did mention that briefly, but it's a good example to mention this further. So what I did earlier, right, on this stream is I made a reference line here, and then I went insert axis from Sketch, selected this one, and made an axis out of it. So now I can hit revolve, and as an axis, I can select, let me show my axis. I can select this axis I just made, and I get the revolve, right? Cool, that works. Now, there's another thing to be said here, and let me hide my axis again. If this one is, if I convert that to a regular feature, right? Even though I have my sketches showing, here's that line. If I try and revolve it, even if I select this line as a revolve axis, it's not letting me do it. The reason is that because that line is a regular figure, now we fall back to that same problem with the two sections not being able to be used as for features. Right? This is a different section or a different closed loop or whatever for Alibre. So that's why
you'd have to close it off.
Yeah. Right. I mean, even if I go ahead and select this sketch, even if I select this line, it's still not doing it, right? And the reason is that this is a regular figure. So if you want to use it as a revolution axis, convert it to a reference line, and then use insert axis from Sketch, and you'll get an axis created, and then it's just an axis. You can use it for whatever axes are used. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So that's that. Yeah.
So one of the things that I've done to address similar issues is on my most recent modeling project, I actually set the origin. I configured my model to be centered on the origin, so that the axis was always available for me to use as a revolve tool.
Yeah.
Even if that means the rest of the model is slightly offset one way or the other, but the part that I knew, it was actually for the head of a 3D printer, my CRT MB2, I've remodeled because I completely changed the hot end, and yeah, I just needed that vertical axis as the
that is some great option. That's some great advice. That is great advice. That's design intent, actually, at work, and it's really, really important, guys. It's really important to think through your model even before you start. It's very hard, and it becomes better and easier with experience. What Steve just said is some great advice.
And there's often times where I've done a model one way and gotten to my end result, and then gone back and decided I can do this a completely different, better way, and remade the same part in a different way. So,
if I may cut in, there is a really funny comment. It's my fault. I opened a new tab on Ex Machina Engineering's video on FEA stress analysis with Alibre and FreeCAD, and that's when the stream died.
Yep. It couldn't take the stress on the stress analysis. That's why the stream died.
Joseph, it looks like you might need to refresh there. Your camera's getting a little choppy on my end here. I don't know if it is for everybody else.
Thanks. I'll see if I can refresh here.
As far as I don't mean to cut in. As far as is that Gabriel V29, man, it opens some possibilities. There's no guarantees yet, but it opens some possibilities. So
this is a good one. If Max is on the line, he may want to cover this question. Any plans in the future to have a Mac OS version? Apologize if it was asked or answered. Max may not be on.
Put some rubbish in the chat about that.
Hey guys, sorry about that. I stepped away for a second. What was the question about macOS?
Oh, any plans in the future to have a Mac OS version? Apologize if this question was already asked or answered.
Yeah, so we're definitely considering it. The reason that we haven't had one so far is that most of our UI framework has been tied to Windows technologies like .NET, and so as we migrate away from the old user interface into the new user interface, most of which, but not all of which, will occur by V29. We begin to find ourselves in a place where we're no longer constrained by having technologies that are primarily Windows only. And this is one of the last remaining ones. So prior to V29 shipping, our answer would have been not only no, but hell no, because it just was such a big project, so impractical. Yeah. But now we find ourselves in a place where it's actually possible. So once we get V29 out and fully remove those dependencies, which may happen in 29.1 or 29, depending on the velocity of the projects that we're doing, we're going to start evaluating that. And it's not just necessarily Mac OS, right? All things like Linux start to become theoretically possible too. And we begin to look at other constraints like, how much extra dev work is associated with maintaining multiple platforms, et cetera. But previously it was an aspirational thing. And at this point, it's something that we're going to start actually evaluating because we're in the position to actually potentially do it. So I would say there's probably going to be some movement on either knowing if or when, or that we will not do it, probably within 6 months. Not saying it'll be done in that time if we decide to do it, but certainly some exploration is going to occur pretty quick. So hope that answers your question.
Thanks so much, Max. We appreciate it.
And can I just say, I've made this clear as my opinion many times, right? Right now, the only serious mechanical design software that works in Mac OS is Fusion, right? Which is slightly ridiculously priced, if you ask me. I mean, I don't like them. I don't like these guys. But yeah, Alibre on macOS would be huge. Such a powerful mechanical design software at that price point in the macOS like ecosystem would be huge, in my opinion. I'd love it. I'd love Linux as well. But
it might be worth going to the forum, guys, if you are going to be a potential Linux or Mac OS user.
It's been discussed.
It might be worth letting them know. It's been discussed and all that. Let them know that it's something that you would use, and you would be someone that would be helped by that. That way, they know that that there's people that are going to use it and all that. So make sure they know that it's worth their work, because like he said, like Max said, it's going to be a huge endeavor to get that kind of stuff going.
That's very true.
It's massive, and then remember that getting one version on Windows running is one thing. Getting the same software to run on 3 different platforms is something completely different. So let them know that it's something that you would actually be interested in, so that they know that it's worth it.
Just out of curiosity, has any of the forum members used sort of emulators like Wine in Linux to get Alibre working? I know that might
we've
be
tried it. I don't think anyone's gotten any success yet. But it has been discussed at length. And I believe the current limitation is, like Max said, .NET.
Yeah.
So I suppose the only viable option then for somebody with a Mac or with a Linux dedicated driver would be to install something like VirtualBox and have a VM running.
A VM.
I'm actually dual booting.
Yeah,
I use
dual
Linux
booting.
daily. I literally
Dual
have
booting, yeah,
Windows just for Alibre, and that's about it. So,
and can I just say another thing? Imagine Linux, right, is so much lighter as an OS than Windows, and so is Mac OS. You know, to that effect.
Especially
so with
lately.
especially lately. So with the exact same hardware, you're getting a lot more performance. So it's interesting.
Yeah, agreed.
Yep.
Can you load STL OBJ file from 3D scans and use as reference geometry? I think
Yes,
we
you
also
can.
had a really good reply to that. So let me show that as well. Workaround to, sorry, Alex, I think we're clicking the same thing.
Yeah, they will.
Alex is always on point. Workaround to bring in STL files is to convert outside Alibre using STL to STP available on GitHub.
So this is actually something that I've come across recently in my workflow, which is bringing in STL files. Other CAD programs have capabilities of doing it, but what you find with STLs is that they're a series of triangles, and depending upon the complexity of the model, you get all sorts of issues around the number of vertices, the number of edges, and so on. So is there any part of the Alibre workflow that can simplify an STL file down into like surfaces and faces, etc., so that you have it reduced to a minimum the number of triangles?
Yeah. So that's a very good comment there, Steve. I'll say that so first of all, I also use, let me remember the exact name. So it's MeshLab, right? I used to use Mesh Mixer, but then Autodesk bought that. And come on, don't get me started on those guys. So I use MeshLab. So that's great for simplifying meshes, right? Reducing the number of triangles, especially if it's a complex one. It's got millions and millions of triangles. But can I also jump on your point and make another point that STL guys, you lose precision with it, right? For example, you can never have a cylinder in an STL file. It's not going to be a cylinder. It's going to be faceted, right? Because that's the nature of it. So, you either use MeshLab and process the mesh a bit, edit it, simplify it if you need. STL to STP available on GitHub, or if you don't want to go on GitHub, you can use FreeCAD, which, as I've said before, FreeCAD is an amazing software for everything except 3D design. I know Joseph might have a different opinion, but I actually do use FreeCAD for everything other than 3D design, and STL to step is just another thing that can be
There's
done.
a question here. Did you answer the question? Exporting to 3MF. So 3MF is technically a zipped archive. Inherently, it contains geometry data. I don't know inherently what kind of 3D geometry data it uses. Does it use STL natively? I don't remember. I'm so sorry. But they tend to be proprietary per slicer and 3D printer. Now that you can have some that are just geometry data, but the only reason, in my personal opinion, that you would use a 3MF over just an STL is if you're importing it directly to a printer to be 3D printed. For example, if you want to share a print profile for like a P1P or an X1 Carbon for Bamboo Lab or what have you. So exporting to a 3MF would be more likely from a slicer, not necessarily from Alibre itself, because there really, in my opinion at least, wouldn't be much advantage over just exporting an STL. It is worth noting though, with a lot of slicers, especially again Orca slicer, and forks of it, you can import step files into Orca Slicer and get a higher quality of model versus exporting an STL, because it will take the step file and read that rather than relying on that STL and all those triangles and stuff like that. So that might be worth doing as well.
You can stuff all sorts of things in a 3MF file.
Yes, you can, including malware. So
Yes.
so 3MF carries color data. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, step files do too. But okay, that makes sense. Carrying part color data for 3MF. Okay, that makes sense. Thanks for letting me know.
Can I just point something out here? So I just highlighted that message from Donald. He says that is a hearing and speech challenge, and could we add a closed caption?
I don't know if we have the ability to do that in the stream right now, but I do want to look into that because that's a great suggestion.
That's a great suggestion for the next time. Yeah.
Joseph, captions turned on for the replay.
They should be, yeah.
They should be, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they should be automatically generated, actually.
Yes.
I know that's kind of retrospective. It'd be good to make sure we were inclusive for people interacting with us live.
Absolutely. I love that suggestion.
And can I? So Stubb says, he's a member of the forums. He said that step files are badly faceted in all the slicers he uses. Yeah, slicers tend to take the step file and try and make an STL out of it, so that doesn't work great most of the time.
Workflow to get Creati scan into Alibre. Third-party mesh reducer is required as an interim step. I believe that's probably the best way right now. Ex Machina has a lot of really good content on using a lot of other helpful software to get what you need into Alibre.
Additionally, we have Bull Solver on our forums. I'm pretty sure it's Bull Solver. Genius person made an add-in.
Oh yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah.
He's a scripting wizard, isn't he?
He is. He really is. So on the Alibre forums, he has this import STL as step added that you can have, and I still haven't used it, but you can choose the STL that you want to input.
It's great, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Then you can have your output step file, and it imports it into Alibre that way. So there's third-party software. There's also that add-in. The add-in, of course, is not made by Alibre, and so it's third-party, but great user on the forum, if that helps.
That's another reason to visit the forums, right? There are some great add-ons there.
Right.
Made by amazing people.
Ted, it might be worth putting it as a feature request, perhaps. Ted on Facebook, it might be worth adding a feature request. Then I know they're looking at a lot of new stuff, and it might be something that they would be willing to consider. I would put that there as a feature request just to see.
Yeah, and as well, just to add on to that, if you have any feature requests related to scan data or bringing in mesh data or anything like that, make sure that you also explain what you want to do with it. Because part of the reason we haven't yet done it is because depending on what you want to do with it requires vastly different sets of technology.
Yes.
And if you just want to look at it, that's pretty easy. If you want to look at it and then cut it in half and then interrogate a cross section to create a sketch, well, that's a whole other thing. If you want to convert it into a solid and then drill a hole through it, well, that's a whole other thing. So it helps us to hone in on which technology sets are most valuable if we know why. So be sure to include that if you submit that.
Yep.
That'd be very helpful. And one quick comment for you, Costas. I like the Alibre hat.
Thanks, David. So So Davinchek also makes some great videos on Alibre and plasticity, I think. But he's made some great content with Alibre as well. Yeah, really nice YouTuber. And thanks for the comment. I didn't make the hat, actually.
Well, I got
Alibre
serious
did.
plug. That's a nice hat, Costas. Where'd you get it?
Yeah, where did I get it?
That's a nice shirt, Adam. Where'd you get it?
Yeah, there's a website, isn't there?
There is a website.
Yeah,
There is a website, and it's I believe
I don't remember the website.
I don't remember what it is here, but
But we
maybe,
showed it in the previous stream. So if you look, if you watch through the previous stream, we show it. And
let me see if I can grab it here. Here, I got it.
there you go. Go, Adam.
Yeah, thank God for autocomplete. Did that paste? Maybe? I pasted in Ex Machinas. It should go through to everybody. I don't know if I can. Is there a way I can paste it in the full everybody's chat?
Yeah, if you paste it into the chat here in the studio, you should be able to reach all of the YouTube and Facebook users.
It's not actually letting me chat, it looks like. I can see the chat. I can't add a.
Can you put it in the private chat and I'll
Yeah.
syndicate it?
There's that.
Perfect. Thank you so much for finding that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And can I just jump in with another? If I can just show another comment here. How does Alibre compare with FreeCAD and Fusion 360? If you could, I'll take that one. Alibre does mechanical 3D design, right? That's what it does. It doesn't have tools for CAD or finite element analysis for CAM, sorry, or finite element analysis or all that. In parametric mechanical design, Alibre does not compare with FreeCAD. It is miles ahead of FreeCAD. It's nowhere near it. Now, Fusion 360. Fusion 360 has got some fancy tools. They don't always work. They work the vast majority of the time, but not always. And is a lot more expensive in the long run. And we're talking about the vanilla Fusion 360. As soon as you add one of their extensions, their newfangled way of, throwing down paywalls,
Nothing like
Fusion 360 becomes. Yeah, it's like microtransactions. Exactly, it's exactly like microtransactions in video games. So as soon as you throw in a single of those extensions, Fusion becomes horribly, horribly more expensive than Alibre. And as I've said very often, Alibre is something like 20% of the price for 95% of the performance. So that's my take on that.
It's based on what you're going to use them for. We're not saying that FreeCAD isn't a good CAD package, but for the money, do you want to spend however much Fusion is per year, or you can pay once and get a Libre for as long as you need it, and when they come up with an update that you need, then pay the update cost. But when it comes down to it, guys, like Atom 3D is $200. You wait for a sale, you can get it a little bit less than that. But and Atom 3D is amazing, especially for 3D printing stuff and all that hobbyist stuff. If you're doing professional stuff, I mean, can I also say, because Adam just reminded me of something else, right? Many people say that Atom 3D is the hobbyist level of Alibre, right? Well, there's a difference. With Fusion and SolidWorks, if you use the hobbyist level, it is illegal for you to make money with it. Correct.
With Atom 3D, it is not. That's a pretty important distinction.
And I would definitely
about that. I just had to get that out.
Without getting into legalese or anything like that, I would also recommend that people check the terms of service of their other CAD softwares versus Alibre. In my personal opinion, Alibre's is way better and way more consumer friendly as well. I did a video with FreeCAD and going through their TOS and disclosure policy and how much of my data is being shared with God knows who.
So my take on FreeCAD is that, one, I love the fact that it exists.
Yes.
In the sense that there is a open source piece of software that has features. However, comparing it to Alibre, Alibre is like riding a bike, where FreeCAD, with all of its different workbenches, is a little bit like that sketch in Mr. Bean, where he's sat on top of his Mini in a sofa.
The Mini in the armchair.
And he's driving it with a mop and a rope. I find I've got to do mental gymnastics to use FreeCAD, where I can just get on with my work in Alibre. So,
and I think
that's a great analogy, actually.
I think Costas had a fantastic comment of one of my earlier videos. It's basically like you can get FreeCAD to work. You can, and if you learn FreeCAD from the beginning, it will work for you. But it's almost like learning the right thing the wrong way. That Alibre is industry standard, guys. It does everything the same way that every other CAD software does it, or better than every other CAD software does it. And FreeCAD, you're having to go through hoops to do some things. Tools aren't named the same sometimes, or features don't work the same as they do in some other CAD packages. Whereas Alibre is much closer to what you would find, or exactly what you would find, or better than what you would find in the other options.
There's another application that's similar in my mind to FreeCAD in terms of the mental gymnastics that you've got to get to in order to get a result, and that's Blender. So Blender is an amazing piece of art CAD.
Yes.
Right. It's written by a guy from Amsterdam, Ton Roosendaal. He was one of the co-founders of the Neo Geo gaming console, and if you're old enough to remember that, I think I've just dated myself right there. But it's great for doing things like organics, and the Amazing Spider-Man 2, I believe, its previs was done in Blender, right, for the movie. So it's capable, but it's not in the same league as these CAD applications that are designed for making models of physical things that you're gonna be manufacturing, etc.
It's worth noting there's a difference between a 3D modeler and a parametric 3D modeler, or CAD. Blender is almost more like modeling with clay. You don't necessarily need everything to be exactly millimeter precise.
That's very true.
Whereas when you're trying to design something to use around the house or to use as a production part, then CAD is what you would want to use, obviously. 100%. But Blender is a fantastic piece of software for doing that kind of work. If you're looking for 3D modeling for that kind of thing.
And it's really fun to scour the internet for actual movies that have been made entirely in Blender, 3D animated movies, right? It's
a lot of video game assets are made in Blender.
A lot of video games. So really powerful. But again,
100%.
very, very steep learning curve. And I just highlighted a comment by Eric L3272. That's something that so for example, SolidWorks, right? If you buy the license, and then after you don't buy the update, you don't pay for the maintenance, and after a couple of years they come up with a new tool that you kind of like, what SolidWorks does is they make you pay every year of maintenance that you've missed full price, right? Which the first time I heard that, I was working for a company that was using SolidWorks. The first time I heard that, I actually sincerely thought the rep was joking. And I was like, ha, nice joke. Now what's the actual quote? And he said, oh, no, I'm sorry. That is the actual quote. So, Eric, in Alibre, and I'm not, 100% sure on the actual amounts, but there is a small late fee. In Greece, I can tell you that for expert, the update is something like 400 euros, and then the late fee is something like 200 euros. But that's it, and you get the latest, and you get 1 year of maintenance, right? So you can download the latest version and all that. So that's a ballpark number. But no, you do not need to pay every single update that you missed full price, that's a very bad business practice. Like that these are things that actually make me kind of angry. And CAD companies charge that because they think they can, and they shouldn't.
I've actually recommended Alibre on that same premise, actually.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
They're squeezing the lemon too hard, right?
They are. It's just that, isn't it? It's just that.
I thought this one was interesting. How to rotate a
yeah.
plane a given amount. We're still looking at my screen. So one thing that you can do is you can use a reference plane and create an axis, and then you can say, oh, I'll make a plane here that is defined by this axis and another plane, and then what's the angle between the plane? Maybe 30 degrees, right? But I think what the user is really getting at is if I make a sketch on this plane, and then they say after a while, oh no, I want to rotate this plane. How can I do that? And we can just finagle the history tree a little bit and say, oh, let's say that this axis doesn't exist. I can make a plane and offset it the same amount. And now I don't remember how offset that was. Let's say 2.5, 3. There we go. So if I have two planes that are overlapping, I can take my axis and define it on this next plane. And then I can take the plane that has my sketch on it and just drag it down my history tree so that it's the last thing. And then we can redefine it. Okay, on the YZ plane and on my axis. Hopefully I get this to work. So we edit and choose our axis. Yep, and then it goes to our angle 30 degrees, and there we were able to rotate that sketch. So hopefully that helps, right? We can always change the order of things in our tree so that it doesn't have to be fixed the way that it is. Let me know in the comments if that answers your question. One other one, can you add left-hand thread design in the customs thread sheet? Excellent question. As of right now, that's not supported. Please document that need and again, use the suggested feature, because we'd love to know if a lot of users are looking for left-hand threads being natively supported in our whole tool. They obviously can be manually edited, and you might be able to mirror the part to get that, but let
exactly,
us know.
as a workaround. You can mirror the part. You can mirror the part, right? And could you do that with surfaces, I wonder, Joseph?
Yes, you could. I don't know how much we want to get into that, but when
yeah, well, that's maybe a great standalone video. But yeah, mirroring the part will give you a left-hand thread. Yeah, for sure.
Bradley Rickson, we importing an STL. We covered that just a couple minutes ago. Costas has some good stuff on that, importing STLs. There's some workarounds needed, but it's possible. But you have to go through some other hoops. But it's you can do it. Costas has some good videos on that though. Ex Machina Engineering.
I'm going to try to see if I can finagle a left-handed thread. Here's another one that might be interesting for you guys, especially Steve. Do you do much woodworking?
I wouldn't exactly call the work that I do woodworking. I mean, I probably ruin boards, but
I think you're just being too modest. That's what I think.
Yeah, this one's looking specifically at if you were to build an assembly, and can you get like a bill of materials and the drawings so you can have like a cut list and all of that sort of stuff. That's not something I've done using Alibre natively. It's something that I've done manually, but I guess that's not going to be the answer to the question, right? What can Alibre do in that regard?
Well, can I just say that if you watch my channel, watch this space in the next month or so for a nice little woodworking mini project. But yeah, definitely bill of materials and drawings. So the beauty of Alibre as a parametric modeling software is that you get a bill of material, you get the drawings, and they update when you change your part, right? So you can have a cabinet, for example, right? And you can design it so that when you increase its height, the sides uh, adjust themselves to the increased height. And then you can have 3 or 4 shelves in it. And as you do these changes parametrically, the bill of materials is going to reflect that. The bill of materials will update and show these things. And the drawings will also update with the new dimensions automatically. So that's the beauty of parametric modeling over, like AutoCAD or I don't know what, right?
Thank you. Just getting back to this other question here, I'm hanging because I think I added such a long thread. But the way that I would use surfaces is
yes, that's what I thought. That's my idea. What you're doing is what I thought could be done. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, great minds think alike. So
Yeah.
I created a thread. I converted the whole thing. I used a cut and I cut out this thread so it's kind of its own floating body. I converted everything to a surface. I stitched this to a solid, and I'm just trying to mirror only the thread so that any other features on this model will be ignored, and this can be mirrored, and then we can stitch it back into a solid.
Stitch it back
Apparently,
together, yeah.
this is pretty heavy, so
Just a little bit.
yeah, we'll see what happens, but that would be my approach if we were using surfacing. I think we have another one here. Do you rename every constraint, or do you use the default name? I've gotten into the habit of using default, and it's very difficult to find the correct constraint. Excellent question. I tend, there's an old saying, not every good modeler renames everything in the tree, but there are no bad modelers that rename things in the tree. So I think the very fact that you're asking that question points to the fact that you're a good modeler, at least.
Actually, I had a professor in university, the guy who taught me CAD, actually, right? And in the exams with it, he would take off marks if you haven't renamed everything, every single sketch, every single feature, and that was annoying when you were just doing an exam in university, but oh man, I can tell you, in a large model, it can be a lifesaver. Especially now in V28, Alibre has a search function for the model tree.
Yeah, that's true.
And that, and renaming things just becomes a superpower. And I don't always do it. I'll have to admit that I don't always do it. Most of the time, I don't. If it's something important, I rename it. But yeah, renaming everything is actually a good practice.
Looks like my mirror failed, so maybe the surfacing is to be continued. We're going to say that.
Yeah. Well, it's video coming up.
Yep. When it comes to renaming every constraints, I rename the important things, especially when it gets convoluted. You can use all caps if you want something to stick out a little bit more. But yeah, hopefully that helps.
I don't rename anything, and my helper has to fix that. That's me in the future.
Gotcha.
Your helper is you in the future. Very so.
And your helper always curses the previous person for not renaming everything. Bradley Erickson, thank you so much for the comment. I appreciate that. This might be a good one for you, Kostas. What is the best way to create reference mid-plane between two features?
Oh, yes.
That might be a good one.
Let's go to your screen, Kostas.
So sorry to shove one at you, but that's what I'm interested in.
Do not be sorry to do it. Okay, so there are many different ways to do it, right? Let me just get a quick model going. So let's do this. Okay, so I'll do 100 by 50. Let's fully constrain it. Let's do 10. Come on. And then I'll just start another sketch. I will imprint everything, get a rectangle going from here to here for 20. There you go. And let's do that for 50 millimeters. And then let's mirror this. I promise you guys, there's a reason I'm doing this. All right? Okay, so let's say we've got this part. Oh, that wasn't very clever, was it? Yeah, well, it was. Let's see. So a couple of ways to do midplanes, right? So let's say we want to make a midplane along this finger here. And I've done one of my very first videos was about this. So you start a point and you click on that edge. So Alibre, when you select something to create a reference, kind of points you to the correct creation method. So when you select the edge, it goes to the along edge creation method. So 0.5 or 50% is the default value. So smack down in the middle. So I hit apply, and now I've got a point. Let me show my points. So now I have a point there. So then I go into the plane command. Again, I do not select the creation method. I just go and select that point, and then I select the edge. And it goes into the axis point creation method. And then I click normal to axis, and now I have a midplane along that feature. Okay, so there's yet another way. Let's go again into the points. So I click on that vertex, I create a point. I click on this vertex, I create another point. So here's the interesting thing. When you have 2 points, and I click on the first one, and I click on the second one, it says 2 points interpolation, right? So again, it kind of creates in memory this imaginary axis along these 2 points, and you can select the ratio. So if I do 50%, I can click that, right? And then I select this point, and I select this. Well, what else can I do? Yeah, I didn't think this through, did I?
It's really good stuff, though. That's really
yeah. But yeah, the idea is that you select this. Sorry, you select this point, and then you select the parallel plane to that. It's just that now I created a plane smack down on the YZ plane, right? But yeah, that's the idea.
That's extremely helpful.
Yeah, let me see if I can do something else here. There you go.
Hey.
So let's do that. Let's do that again. So you've got 2 points here, right? I selected the 2 vertices now. I didn't even create the points. I selected the 2 vertices. It went into 2 point interpolation. So now I select my plane selection, plane creation. I select the point. I select this plane. There you go. Right. So those are 2 great ways to do planes between features.
Beautifully done.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, this is why we say Costas is a black belt in Alibre. All these little tricks.
Yeah. Come on, guys. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Let me check our live chat here. You know what? I think it's we've been live for quite a while. Do we want to do our drawing now?
Yeah.
All right.
And
so,
I need to jump off in about 15 minutes. So
that's perfect.
Well, we've got a raffle going. So as you know, you have to be on to claim your prize. Just let us know in the chat if you're the one that was drawn that you're here, and we will have you either a free upgrade to the next tier of Alibre, or we'll get you free maintenance if you're already at the top tier. So we're going to jump into the raffle here. Are we ready?
Yep.
Here we go. Our winner is James Carter. Do we have a James Carter in the chat? Let us know in the chat. Oh, we got a new comment. Suggestion for improvement. James Carter, are you still with us? This is going to kill me.
We answered one of his questions. He should be here. Come on, James.
Come on, James. Well, we'll give James a second here. I have a comment here. Any hint as to what is going to be in version 29? Great question. There's going to be a completely redone UI. It's going to have a lot of improvements for workflow, working quickly, less intrusive ways of messaging you, that kind of thing. And weldments.
Weldments, guys. Yes. Weldments.
No, we may not
Sorry
have
for that, Joseph.
Well, Julie, temper some expectations on the Weldments front. So yes. I think on the last live stream that we talked about, the likely trajectory of Weldments is that Weldments is not going to be in V29. However, very quickly after we release V29, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that, but soon, we're going to also release 29.1 in a beta. And that's what's going to let you jump in and start playing with Weldments in a beta form, but still pretty immediately. And Weldments will officially come in 29.1, but they're being actively worked on right now. Very cool to use that internally. It's good stuff.
Yeah, but guys, Weldments is coming to Alibre, which is huge, right? It's I can't even begin to tell you guys how excited I am that Weldments is just around the corner. Okay, it's not going to be in V29.0, but it is coming. It is coming. It is being worked on and file analyzed, and one less reason to not use Alibre.
Well, I'm thinking he may have. Here's that comment. Maybe he left during the Great Crash. I think
it's like the 1920s, you know.
I changed my name from James to Dan. Thank you. I love it. Let's do another one here. We're
forecast date for V29.
If Dan comes up, people will think it's
Ted Nickel.
Okay, nice.
Do we have Ted Nickel on the line? Give us a comment. Give us some love, Ted.
Let us know you're here, Ted. Come on.
Oh man.
Come on.
We're also combating a stream delay as well, right? So
that's true.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Steve is such an experienced streamer. When we were meeting, I'm like, wow, Steve really knows every possible way things can go wrong and how to prepare for it. So Steve is such an asset on and off camera. Ted has left
the building. There's a reason why I know why things have gone wrong, because they've gone wrong to me.
What is a weldment? That is a great question. I don't know if I have any like active weldment files to show. Anyone care to explain? I might be able to pull something up.
Imagine a dune buggy body where you have a lot of steel tubes coming together and they're all welded together to make the frame of something. That's a weldment structure. And if you start looking around the world, weldments are everywhere, from bed frames to stage, like a concert stage, to vehicles, to all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I don't have any models or anything that I can pull up visuals, but yeah, imagine all these individual pieces that you weld or attach together. So you can model them as one thing and then split it into a cut list. So you have all your individual elements that are sized and dimensioned in their own bodies. I think we might have to do another one. Let's try this here.
Third time's the charm.
Third time's a charm. Yeah.
We can.
Well, you might have to redraw that one. I think I'm covered for a little while. Although I will take just a second. Click this, get that here. Yeah. Not to toot my own horn, but I have a video about 25 minutes in length that should get you started with what you're looking for. Weekday weekend on YouTube there. But I think I'm covered on maintenance, guys. Yeah, I think I'm covered on maintenance, guys. So if you guys want to redraw that, that'd be great. I think I'm covered.
All right, let's see here. Come on! We're not doing this.
Thanks, but yeah.
Oh, come on. Okay. This is what we're going to do. Everybody in the comments, put in a hashtag. Hashtag still here. One word. I'm going to make a text block and put it on there. And that way it's going to filter out all of this. Let's see.
I was about to do something really stupid. I was about to put it in there like, wait a second, I probably shouldn't.
That's so cool.
Okay. See this hashtag down here in the lower right? Hashtag still here. Do that leave a comment with that, and then you'll be put in the in the drawing.
So there was cool, so while we're waiting for everyone to get those hashtags into chat, there was a question around the timing for the next version of Alibre. Do we have a roadmap as to when that launch date for 29 will be?
Yeah, so we're probably targeting like March-ish. Part of the complexity with redoing the entire user interface is the follow-up work associated with redoing the help file, which is non-trivial in nature. And as well, the entire application has to be QA'd versus when we do more atomic level features, like adding a new, whatever, part modeling feature, where we can just kind of QA that and be sure that we probably didn't break everything else in the application. So there's a big QA effort. There's a V29. It's hard to overstate, the level of overhaul that's occurring, both visually from a, the workflows are similar. You're not going to like get into it and have no idea what you're doing at all. But we took the opportunity wherever we could to try to bring some sanity to places that had less sanity than we had liked. And so oftentimes that results in, delightfully different experiences that feel familiar, but are more streamlined, or require fewer clicks or have better options for you, et cetera. So anyway, there's a lot in V29, and it's probably the most significant release that we will have had in many, many years. So it's taken a while. We recognize that. And we're trying as fast as we can, but probably like end of March-ish. We might get lucky a little bit earlier, maybe a little bit later, but roughly around then.
All right.
And that just goes to show that it's not just a couple features. When people say, "Well, I'd like that feature in Alibre," it's that feature, it's the UI for it, it's quality testing for it, it's the help file.
It's how that feature interacts with other features and things like that.
All right, let's look at this comment in the lower left here. Rigged, 100% rigged. So,
well, if it was rigged, we'd claim it, right?
Yeah. You know what? We got an executive decision. On top of the one that we draw, we're going to give one to David too. How's that for rigged?
All right, I like that. I'm showing our studio here, and I go over here to raffle, and then I'm going to go by hashtag, and we're just going to go by hashtag. So We're going to start here. And hopefully you can see, you saw behind the curtains. I can't rig this. All right. Leave us a comment.
There we go.
Let's go, Donnie Reese. Come on, Donnie. Give us a comment.
We're all staring at chat now.
Yeah, we are definitely staring at chat. Yes.
Yeah. We gotta talk to our wave.video people here. Come on, Donnie. We're so close. We are dealing with a delay though, so I won't.
Yeah. By the way, SciShow on YouTube has a very, very interesting video on why random number generators are not that random. Hey, Donnie.
As Lego Batman would say, first try.
Go Batman. Oh my God.
Okay, he is here.
All right, Donnie. Email me, joseph@alibre.com, and we'll get you your upgraded license, preferably with the email account that your license is currently on, and we'll get that sorted out for you. Thank you, Donnie Reese. You rock, and congratulations on winning our raffle.
Congrats.
And our very questionable wave.video practices, apparently. All right, I got to head back to the live chat here. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, send us your questions, guys.
Well, there's a question whether that hashtag was case sensitive, but
that I don't know.
Well, hashtags I don't think are case sensitive. So
yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah.
All right. If the button goes red when trying to add a fillet or a chamfer, is there a way to find out why? Excellent question. Let me turn off the raffle here. Yeah, when trying to add a fillet or chamfer, it is almost always is the radius too big.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys have had any other experience, but sometimes you might have some edges that are so close that they appear as one edge, and trying to fill it across multiple edges is also a cause, but pretty limited circumstances as to why the fillet doesn't work. Multi-radius fillets are harder to do. So if you're in a multi-radius fillet, right, that could be a thing. And then we also have constant width fillets. Those can be kind of complicating. So change some radius or fillet settings, and that could help fix it as well. But it's almost always. Yeah. I see some activity on weekday weekend. Let's switch to your screen, Adam.
Oh, I was trying to see. He has a very good question here. Can I hide dimensions? And that's one I'm not actually entirely sure. Can you hide dimensions? I'm assuming in Sketch, right? You're asking like in Sketch.
I think you can, yeah.
I would imagine it's probably in the View tab.
In the View tab, yeah. You can toggle the dimensions, yeah. So if you go in there, do you see it? Do you see it, Adam?
I don't. Where? Oh,
yeah.
References here, but it's probably right in front of me.
Are you in an? No. Go into the Sketch. You're in the View tab. Go into the Sketch tab.
Okay.
Go to the Sketch tab.
Yeah.
Blue 2D sketch.
The blue 2D
sketch.
Okay. Over to the right, all the way to the right.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
bottom left button.
Left. Hey, there we go. Toggle sketch dimensions. Yep. See, Costas, he's got it again. You can't leave, dude. We're gonna tie you to your chair. You're not allowed to go anywhere.
I kind of have to actually, but I can definitely tell you guys that if I could, I'd be here like all day. Look, guys, most of you know that I'm into racing, right? One of the most famous races in the world is the Le Mans 24 Hours. So how about we do a 24-hour Q&A stream? We'll do some streamer driver changes.
Well, Ben,
we'll go for 24 hours. The four of us can do it. We'll do 3-hour stints and we'll be fine.
I like it. All right, co-driver.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Joseph. Guys, I have to go. It has been excellent, and thank you everybody who joined the stream. You've been great. Again, questions help others as well. So everybody in this stream who asked the question, I think, helped everybody else, and it's been great. And I'd love to catch up with you guys again. Bye.
Take
Have a
care,
good one,
Costas.
Costas.
Thanks, Costas. Have a good one.
Joseph,
Bye.
can I go back to that fillet question?
Yes.
So one of the things that I've done, especially in the last 2 weeks, working on my current project, was filleting this head for a CR10 V2, and I did come across issues where my fillets weren't successful. So one of the things that I did was to select just a single line and then adjust the fillet right up to the point that it failed. And it got down to like 0.1 millimeter increments, down to 0.05 millimeter increments, just to tweak it. Once I knew that the fillet was successful, I then added other lines of the model, or other edges, should I say, in the model, to then have that fillet applied to, and that was successful. Now, a little bit tedious on my part, probably not the smartest way of going about it, but it was a solution that worked for me in my use case.
I actually think that's a great way to go about it. And sometimes I find myself going, how big of a fillet can I add? Because I want it big. Who doesn't love a big, beautiful fillet? So I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing to do. If you don't mind, I'll take the screen from you just for a quick sec, Adam. Another thing that really seems to affect fillets is if we go to inspect, check part, and we can go, choose an accuracy. And then when we apply a check, we can see if anything has failed, right? We want all zeros or dashes in this column. And if something isn't failed, sometimes that can affect the integrity of fillets in unexpected ways. So if we have any errors in our models, it can point out bodies, faces, edges, vertices that we can go back and take a look at. And that making those not fail anymore can often increase the integrity of fillets. I'll bring it back to your screen, Adam, if you had anything to share. But just that can also be fillets.
I guess another good thing to mention would be the equation editor. Might be a good way to make sure that your fillets kind of stay how you want them to parametrically. Maybe if you do like so if you guys don't have these the equations shown, D1, D2 for your dimensions and stuff like that, I would turn those on. I believe it's in properties, I believe.
System options.
I thought for sure it was in... It might be in properties or system options. I always forget where it's at because I only, obviously I turn it on once and I forget about it.
Well, you know what? No, I think you were right, actually. I think it's in properties.
Is it in properties? I found it in my video.
Yeah, it's on file properties, units, dimension, show equations. Or right, no, not units, dimension, just the dimension.
Just in dimension. Okay, yeah, show equations right here. So you can use like D1 here, for example. If I just extrude this, I don't know, 5 is fine, and I try to add a fillet here. Of course, you can add your actual dimension, whatever that might be for your fillet, but maybe I want to do like D1 over 5, and then you can actually, I guess that's a bad example because it should be the same amount, but you could do it like that with the equations, and that way you kind of get it parametrically. Make sure they're not going to break. If you choose a value that actually works there, you can use the equation editor to your advantage there and do something like that, maybe to kind of have more control over your fillets if you make your dimension a little larger. So if I go back in, I should have actually kept that fillet. So if I do like D1 over 10, and then I go in and modify my sketch to be 125, it'll still do my fillets accordingly. That might be another way to go about it.
Just if I click share, is it going to share my screen? I assume.
Yeah, you can share your screen.
Yeah, so I'll give everybody a quick preview since it is relevant to this
Ooh.
question of V29.
Ooh.
Let me try to do this. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Not quite yet. Let me bring it in here, Max. And you're live.
Cool. Okay, so since it's relevant to the fillet question, I'll kind of cover just a few quick things at once. You see, the dialogues kind of look a little bit different. They'll tend to be dockable over on this left-hand side, and most of the stuff will tend to occur over in this area. Anyway, if you've used Alibre for any amount of time, undoubtedly, if you're monkeying around with spinner increments on constraints or spinner increments on fillets or anything where things start to fail and you get that big modal, in other words, it gets in your way. Dialog box that says, hey, this thing has failed. Then you got to click that. And then you got to go, try a different one. And maybe that fails too. And you got to click that too. Becomes really annoying and it disrupts your workflow and it gets in the way. So you might have disabled it. And so one of the things, we're going to increase this fillet size here until it fails. And we can see in the bottom right-hand side that we have this little new notification approach that doesn't get in the way. So I can keep messing with stuff, but it'll tell me why. I can get more info, and this will say, okay, this is the reason. Now, this may not make a lot of sense. These typically come from ASUS, and unless you're an ASUS engineer, may not be the most valuable thing to know. But usually it resolves to it's too big. Like they were saying earlier. Anyway, the point being that this is just kind of a quick preview of not only the new notification system in V29, kind of a high level of what some of the dialogues look like. You'll see a few of the kind of fundamental approaches to, the previous extrude boss dialog, for example, was really dense and half the stuff's grayed out at all times. And it doesn't make a ton of sense. So we've kind of taken a different approach of being able to only show you what's available and let you enable things to show them in the UI, but otherwise they kind of stay hidden. And that kind of approach has been carried out, through all kinds of stuff. So the color properties dialog, it's a little bit easier to select your colors and you can edit the colors. And those will actually stay between sessions and things like that. So, these are just silly examples, but the point being, from the extrude dialog to the way that we're showing notifications all the way to part color, throughout the entire product, we've tried to make tons of little micro improvements to make that process easier and to make the UI smaller and more digestible without showing you tons of things that you can't use or are not applicable to where you are in the workflow at any given time. So anyway, hope that was a fun little preview.
Beautiful stuff. I like that.
And it's for all you folks who lasted this long and stuck with us. Thanks, Max.
Yep.
And by the way, this new UI is actually what allows us to be able to talk about the possibility of Linux and Mac compatibility. So I think we might owe a lot to it, and I'm really excited to see where it goes. It's been 2.5 hours. I think this might be a good stopping point. I do want to point out that we have some more plans. Next stream is on January 16th, 10 a.m. Mountain, 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, 12 p.m. Eastern. We hope to see you there. Anything else, Steve or Adam?
No, I think that's about it. Other than check out Ex Machina Engineering, check out IQ Workshop, and all that. Check everybody out on their respective places, of course. Check out Joko Engineering.
Especially that one, right?
Yeah.
Is D&D 7075 still around?
Not seeing D&D 7075.
We have some delays, so
Oh, that's true.
7075, you here, maybe? Good to see you, Sid.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Well, if we can figure out who the Indy 7075 is, get that man some maintenance since he thinks it's rigged. How's that?
Sounds good to me.
Let it be known that you cannot in the future say that it's rigged and get free maintenance, but just for this
That sounds fair to me. Thank you so much, everybody. And check out our cool outro video. I did way too much editing for it to be ignored. Thank you again. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next stream.
Bye, everybody.